Hi, it's Leo from Made by Marley. I am a furniture artist, but today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful shade, this vintage shade, using some paint and the Wilde Bloemen Transfer from Iron Orchid Design. Stay tuned and I'll walk you through all the steps. Okay, so how did our lampshade start, or how is it starting? This is a vintage lampshade. All my big ones, my big shades are vintage. Now, the thing about vintage shades is, because of their age really, they often tend to get a little bit dirty, discoloured and mildewed in the inside. So we are going to have to watercolour paint that too, with one solid colour. Well, one, not mix of colours, just one colour at the end. Now, what are my thoughts today is I have an IOD transfer and I've been looking at it for ages, and it's quite small form, which means it's not exactly ideal for furniture. If you think about positive, negative spaces, I thought, that's not going to work on a piece of furniture. And then I thought, what about a sort of nightscape with the florals coming up? And then I thought, right, I'm going to go and put a mood board together. So I'll get Martin to quickly show you my mood board. So, I mean, I picked these, I found these different works of art, and I thought, right, but these are too whimsical. I don't want, these are the actual IOD transfers here, which I've put down this side. So these are all too whimsical for, and not the look I'm going for, but I was trying to get a sort of measure of a night sky, whether it was going to go black or whether it's going to bluey grey. I've also, decoupage, I found some moons, which I'm wanting to put on, but that's a separate sheet. And we're going to do stars, but I was thinking probably at the end I might try and poke little holes in the top of the lampshade with a big darning needle, so that when I go right through there and right through the line, and when you put the light on, the light should come through the little holes. So that's another little element of where I'm at. So I'll put this to the side, because what we're going to need to do, like if you add just solid paint onto your lampshade, it'll just be crispy, not very nice. You need to water your paint down and think about it like a watercolour. Now, you've seen me do a few painted lampshades, and to be honest with you, lampshades are so popular. I'm asked to do lampshades all the time. So Mojo, this one is for you, dedicated just to you, because she's always wanted me to do lampshades. So what I've got here is I've got 4 pots. I think I've got 5 pots actually, because and what I'm going to do is, this is Annie Sloan's Feeder Blue. I'm going to put a dollop in there. I'm going to put a dollop of Annie Sloan's Furrow, which is the limey green, the chanteuse sort of colour. A dollop of Amsterdam green in this one. And I really don't want to have, I think once it gets wet, I will deal with the black and the grey. So in this one here, I'm going to put Oxford Navy, which looks to me like it might need a poke with something. This isn't one of my new ones. Ooh, there we go. Now, I'm just going to get the same brush and mix them all up. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be more mixed once it happens, so I wouldn't worry about it. You can see how watery my paint is. Pretty watery, isn't it? You know, it's not thick. It's the consistency of skimmed milk, semi-skimmed, or yeah, skimmed milk. I'm not going to get into the pedantics of it all. So there we go. That's our Feeder Blue. I will get a different brush to just gently mix the furrow, because I don't want it will really take the colours. Now, as you can see, I'm not really kind of going with the inspo. I'm kind of just going with my own mix. I want my greens down the bottom, and I want my darks and my moody sky at the top. So I'm going to go in the mid sort of section here. Whoops. And I'm going to start painting my shade. You can see how watery my paint is. I've painted shades with more paint than this before, but I always really like the end result. It doesn't matter if it runs down into where your greens are going to go. I always think they feel nicer, because this is going to have to be sealed before we can put transfers on. Right, so we've got this sort of thing kind of blue in the middle. What we're going to do is we're going to dip in the Oxford Navy, and we're going to go up round about the top. Now, as I said, we'll paint the inside a colour, so I'm not worrying too much about that. Bring that down into here, and then it's just a process of blending it. Blending it the way you like it. I'm going to be adding black and making it even darker, but I just want to have some definition from a sort of darker shade up the top. If you can hear that snarling noise, it's actually Terry in the background eating the bone. Right, okay, so we've got to there. Now we're gonna, hang on a minute. I think there's actually a tiny little hole in there anyway, so what my plans are is quite good. Right, so that's that. Now, I'm not, you notice I'm not cleaning my brush throughout this, so I want the darkest green. Sorry, Matty Terry's gone.
That's all right.
I'm putting my dark green down the bottom, right down the bottom, onto, you notice this time, normally I rip off the braid. I am going to be putting trim on this, tassel-y trim. However, I don't want, I'm just going to put it on top of here. And I don't know what I'm going to do around the top yet. I've got some really nice sort of, what would you say, trim, sort of dark trim that might work really quite nice for this. So we'll see. Now I'm mixing my light greens and my dark greens together. You can take that up, because I mean, these are bushes and things, aren't they? I mean, you would want something coming up into this, because when we go to put our transfer down, you really need to set the scene for what you're doing. Now, I can't really put too much paint on this at the moment because I'm just going to oversaturate it, but I think you understand the sort of concept. So again, mid-tones with your blue, which is your feeder blue is a lighter blue than obviously this one here, which is your Oxford Navy. And once I've done all the way around this lampshade, I think what I'll do is I'll do the inside with this Oxford Navy as well. I think I'll paint the fabric inside with it, only because I think it'll make it moody, and it's a kind of moody shade we're going for. So it'll just be plain. Help me out, Martin. Oh, Oxford Navy, yeah, Oxford Navy. Right, so plenty of moodiness at the top, because once this is dried a bit, because when I get to this stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it outside in the sun. I've got something else I want to paint. So while I'm painting that, I'll set it outside in the sun, and we'll come back when it's not as wet, when it's not as saturated, and we'll put our grey tones. You'll still need a little bit of moisture in it, but we'll put our grey and our black in it. And maybe a little bit of turquoise, maybe. I don't know. Jury's out on that. Let's have a big bush up there. Yeah. Maybe not as big as that, actually, because I don't think the IOD transfers, it's one of the little, it's not A4 sheets. Is it A4 sheets? I don't know. It's actually in Martin's office at the moment, so I can't even look at it, but it is around. And it's not from the new release. It's actually from the... I'm really behind on my IOD things, because I thought maybe that transfer would be a little bit bigger and I could use it on furniture, but when I actually got it, I thought, it's not really going to work for furniture, but it will be any of the little notebook pads of transfers that IOD release would be perfect for this kind of thing if it's flowers.
They'll see it in a minute when you come back.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought I'm not going to labour it. I'm just going to just tell you. So I think this video is actually going to be quite a quick video, because
famous last words.
Because really, once this is done and I put some tone and things onto it, there's not a huge amount that I can really do with it. I mean, we'll see how it goes, but I don't think it'll be too long. But I mean, as Martin says, you know, I've said that many times. Depends how much.
There's so many videos about it where you said this is going to be a really quick video. It's an hour and a half long.
I know. Sorry, Matty. Now, I don't think you need to see any more of what I'm doing here. I think it's quite self-explanatory, isn't it, Martin?
Yep.
You're just kind of dark greens, light blue, dark blue. That's how you're going to put it together, and then we'll come back and we'll stipple on some grey and some black when it's slightly dry, and maybe another shade of green as well. I'm not sure, maybe a sort of darker shade of green, but I'm going to get on to this, stick it out in the sun, we'll be back once it's slightly drier. Okay, so it's been sitting outside, it's damp, it's not saturated, the inside's still quite damp, so when I put it outside the next time, I'm going to sit it up that way just so that it dries evenly. Before I go any further, I just want to show you this. This is the transfer I'm going to be using. I can't even pronounce that, Wilde Bloemen. This is the kind of drill that we've got going on here. See what I mean? Mine's is not full cut-y. It's quite stuck together, that. birds, etc. So I think this will look quite nice on a dark background. So we've got the sort of blues on, but I really want it more black. So I'm coming along here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start darkening it all up. Not all of it, just some of it on top of the darker shades. I'm up here. Again, I've watered down my black paint. It's quite watery. And I've got extra water over here in case I want to kind of blend that in. I always think lampshades look quite nice when you do them. If you kind of darken up it kind of accentuates the shade itself, I think. We're going to put this on because we're going to come back with some grey. So maybe don't need too much. I'll do this panel as well, and then we'll start putting some of the grey on so you can see where we're at with that. Whoops. All right, okay, let's have a wee look at this. So I've got Whistler's Grey. I'm trying to find a container for this one. Swapping everything around. Do you know what I'm going to do?
Put on the table.
Put some there. This is obviously one that I don't, it's not a colour I use very often at all, really, to be honest with you. So it doesn't really matter if it's an older bottle for this. Now I want to try and kind of start, and this isn't going to be the brush that's going to be able to do that. You're going to need a softer brush for this now. I needed a sort of soft but kind of bristly to get into the paint, but now you're going to start kind of working in your sort of night sky. Why did I not choose white? Because I will come along and stipple some white on it, but I want the grey first. If you think it needs water, add some water. Oh. I just start blending it through. If you think you've put too much grey on it, go back into your black, and you're just going to kind of like work this until you get it where you'd like it. I don't want too much of the grey, and I don't want it to oversaturate and be too light. So I want to kind of keep some of this dark. I think that's a different bit of brush stroke. So we're doing tappy tappy, not roundy roundy. Yeah. This shade is all going to be really about building up colour, building it up. What I'm doing now is I'm just going to tap some black in that hasn't been watered down. The shade's watery enough, so, and then into the grey. Let's get something kind of moody going on. See, I'm happy with that. But then the problem is I'm going to really wet my brush here just to, this will go back. It's not really going to cover the blue, it's just because it's wet again. It's just that, so it doesn't look like it's going to nowhere. Same here. And that's me just in the paint as it is. And then into the grey. Somebody's trying to get a hold of me. Somebody's messaging me. It'll be one of you guys. Right. Yeah, you're going to have to kind of build it up. Once it gets a little bit drier, I want to kind of almost kind of have even more dark up in here, but I'm building it up in layers because it'll look really one-dimensional if you just try and paint it all once and then just leave it. You're gonna have to kind of work at this so that it doesn't end up looking that way. You don't want it to end up looking like it's, so it's like all of the things that I always say, you need to set the scene, and this is the scene setting for this transfer. It doesn't matter that it's not furniture, it's the same deal. I'm doing twirly twirly there, and I knew we need to be down.
It's like painting a picture, isn't it? There's layers.
Yeah, yeah. I'm having to use my hand today. I don't know why I've got a really sore arm. I'm a hypochondriac. There we go. There we go. I'm back in the dark. Now, that's pretty much what my intention is. Remember, these edges, I really feel it's kind of like really interesting when you've got that shadow coming down where the fabric is at each side. It just kind of, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's that thing I've got about corners, but let's just kind of bring that down. Now, what about the green? Because we've got, whatever we do there, we have to do something with the green as well. So we had our shades of green. I'm just going to put a little bit of Capability green on here, because I've got over here the
That's that green, was it?
yes, thanks Martin, here helping me out. Now what kind of brush do I think I want for this? I'm going to go with something like this. Oh, helps if I put it in. Where's the paint? Think of like where the moon might shine. This is just to give it texture. I just want to give it some texture. I don't want to go over too much of the furrow. That won't work. I don't want that, you know. You can bring it up. This is just a suggestion that there's greenery behind it, if you know what I mean. There's something behind these florals that I'm going to be putting on. And that's just going back and forward with your light green. And I'm using the watered down paint as my water, so that it's not. And you're just going to build this up. This was a brush that was kind of wrecked, so I'm quite happy to use it as a sort of exercise in stippling. Whoa.
Is it a fan brush?
It is a fan brush, yes. Yes, it's a fan brush. It's a ruined fan brush. I think it, I don't know why, it had lots of stuff stuck to it. I think I've used it for something and been quite naughty. Yeah. Yeah, so you can see me building this up here. If you want, you can start darkening up the tops of these green branches. That's fine. I mean, there's no...
Yeah, Bob Ross now.
You know, put some shadow in it. Like, I don't know how much of this is going to be seen, if I'm honest, because I mean you could put hills in the background if you really want to be Bob Ross like. Something like that. Right, more texture and some different. I've just put some of that grey there because I thought maybe that would. Now, so we know we're darkening up the top and we're bringing some darker green down the bottom with some shadows and stuff. It's because we just don't know. I mean, we can have a rough look at, where is it? How high these are going to go up. So I mean, they're going to go up fair. If we're talking about that strawberry there, it's going to go up a fair distance. Same with that one. I mean, let's have a look at the biggest one. The tallest one, sorry. That one there's quite tall. So, you know, as long as you're going up, I mean, some of it you'll want to go into the blue and some of it you'll want to go into the green. It's just really about that. I think this one here is the biggest one. Yeah, and you can see why I picked the colours, because all these will stand out really nice in the dark colours, but I do intend to put a lot more dark in it. I'm going to try and go back to this brush and see if I can add a little bit more dark. I want the blue, but I just had envisaged in my head it a bit blacker. So I'm going to go on and just kind of darken this all up a little bit so that I'm happy with it. And I think that's all you need to do, and kind of like put all your shades and your colours in there. I mean, I'm liking this part here now. Again, bringing that dark patch down in there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how much cloudiness we want to see here. I mean, quite liking that now. I didn't want to use white because there is going to be some white coming along the road somewhere. So yeah, this is starting to look better. Do you see that happening, Matty?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Thinking I'm away on a flight of fancy, maybe. There. I've got that a little bit dark. So I'm going to get on and do the rest of this now, and then I'm going to leave it out to dry and then come back to it later on and we'll do our next part. Okay. You know all those moons that I showed you on my mood board? I printed them out. Now you're more than welcome to paint a moon. I would paint a moon, but I'm making this as fun as I can, and I'm not going to be too much, you know, labouring over it. I've got a sort of funky moon, these coloured moons, I've got pink moons, I've got all the moons. That's all you need to know. But I've decided I'm going to make each one of these panels its own little frame, really. So I'm going to do the work. I'm going to put some glaze around this first and get my moon on it, and then I think I may put a stamp, just a thin one, down here just to separate each panel off, but we'll see how it goes. Let's get our moons on, and we can put our moons on wherever we like. What I've done is, before, I should tell you this, once this was dry, I added my French Chic Tough Top Coat Sealer, so it's been sealed. Right, now what I'm going to do is, I've got my Mod Podge here. I'm going to just put the moons where I want them, and because I'm doing each little frame differently, I can put them wherever I want. So I think I'm going to start with this one about here. Hang on, I'm running out of Mod Podge. It's an occupational hazard. I'm not too worried about the Mod Podge around the edge, A, because I'm using matte, but B, also I'm going to be glazing some of this to put some of the white clouds and things back in. So that's my first moon on. Just make sure that it's on nice. I think the next one I'll do is this silvery one, and I'll do this kind of, I'll do this here. So Mod Podge. I'm getting a lot of glue for this little moon. When you're decoupaging onto fabric, it's just a matter of massaging it into the fabric and making sure that it's all stuck. Oh, I'm leaning my glue everywhere. Making sure it's all stuck down. If you get your wrinkles out in the first place, you shouldn't have any moving forward with it. I'm putting a little bit of glue over this one because it's such a kind of fine shape around the edges, and I don't want them peeling back up. I don't need to at this point to go over that one. Next moon, I think we'll go with the pink one. I'm going to put this one quite, yeah, maybe off to the side. Oh, I don't want it that close in because I've got, remember I said I was going to put a little tiny frame around it. So that one's going to go there nicely. Oh, I can see, when you turn it, it's quite good because you can see any lift that you've got. The next one I am going to put here, and I'm going to put it right in. Actually, I'm going to move it up so it's not as the same as the one before. I think you're getting the gist about the moons. Do I need to go on, Martin? They've seen all the moons.
I don't think so.
So let's go back to our first moon, which, did one of my moons just drop? It did.
Yeah.
I'm a moon down. That's this one. I'm unsure whether to use this one. It's different to the rest, and it is folk arty, so the jury's out on that. Right, so I've got my moon on. What we're going to do next, put my lid on my Mod Podge. Little pot, I've got all the little pots in the world today, and what I've got here is Liquitex Gloss Medium, and what I have here is some white acrylic paint. Now, you don't need much of this. Oh, that's quite a lot, but okay. I always like my style. You don't need much. Now, I think I'm going to be applying this with my hands. Because that's how I roll. Do you know, I tried to pour this out the other day, and I think I've got a blockage in my hole in the top of the thing. So now, there had to be some point where I made a nice mess. Maybe I shouldn't apply it with my finger. I'm not really teaching you the right things to do, am I? Let's get a nice soft brush from here and see how we go. Soft brushes are on. I'm looking for one. spied this one from the distance. It's not exactly soft. Right, glaze. Let me just trial it somewhere where it's not going to be too... Yeah, okay, so I think what I'm going to do before I start is I'm going to put a little bit more of this into it because I don't want it too white, and that would just be shambolic of me to... Should I be some more words there? Right, we did that now, so I'm just going to have to live with that. It's just going to have to be a sort of cloudy part. And all this does is, because you've put the medium in it, it's made it more transparent. It moves around easier, and it's not going to go on hugely heavy. So I'm applying it, and then what I'm doing is I'm just kind of brushing around with my fingers, just so that I can get that sort of cloudy effect. If you want, you can also stipple it. You feel that's going to do something a wee bit more. So up here. Now this will dry much lighter. I mean, it's quite white at the moment, but it'll dry lighter. I want around this definitely quite white. I want to make sure that it's... So there's a whole lot of things with these clouds at the moment. I just need it to look the way I'm thinking. I've got, you know that way when you've got something in your head, and my info on my mood board really didn't cut it because it was kind of where I wanted to go, but I knew what I wanted to do, so it was just a kind of to start me off. But I thought, yeah, I think I'm kind of liking that. What are you thinking, Martin?
Yep.
Now I've got the white in. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the very same thing with some black acrylic paint, which I don't have a huge amount. Oh, there we go again. Oh, just squeezy happy today. I think this has got a blocked hole as well. Everything's got a blocked hole today. Right. This is, what colour is this? Deep green. It's a really nice colour. I'm going to show you. I'll just soften up my black a little bit. It's that colour there. It's like a really dark tealy green colour. Now, I am just going to get a better brush. Here we go. Don't know why I haven't got... There we go. This one I'll do for this. Same thing. I'm going to put the Liquitex in. Ooh. Right. That's the colour. Yeah. Now, this one, what I'm going to do is, with this glaze is, I'm going to put it in between in a way that kind of gives us some movement. Remember I said to you I was going to kind of keep it in frame, so I'm trying to... I'm still bringing it down here, down this edge as well, this glaze. Maybe it looks a little bit dark, because what I did, I went a little bit black crazy before I did my last bit of filming. I was left by myself and I thought, oh, I wanted dark around these edges, so I'm just kind of accentuating them so you can see where I've been. Kind of smudge that through my clouds. This is the kind of look that I'm going for in every panel. Yeah, and because it's glaze, you can just wipe it, it'll run, because it's got that medium in it that's making it move more, which means that there's a little bit more leeway, a wee bit more playing time, and I have sealed it as well. So as number one, I think I'm quite happy with that. Now, same's going to happen to every single panel, yeah? And this will dry quite quickly. Then the next time we're going to come along is we're going to put a transfer on it. Then we're going to work on the stars and things like that, and some texture probably. And then we're going to, what we're going to do next after that? Then I'm going to see if I can get a darning needle to make holes up the top, so when I put a light, the light will shine through and make it like it's got other stars. And then we're going to put some nice, I've got some sort of cream sort of trim that I'm going to put around the bottom, some fringing, and maybe something nice at the top. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so I'll get on and do all my little panels. Okay. So there really is some beautiful florals in here. There's just, they weren't big enough for furniture, what I've done is I've got 2 of the sheets already, and I'm saving the butterflies over here because they're not going to work, but it's got moths in it as well, so that's okay. So with the pink moons, I'm going to try and complement it with pink flowers. So this was one of the sheets. I'm just going to get rid of, sorry, I never noticed this little butterfly here. I'm just going to take it off, and these will work for another project. I'll keep that bug though, because I think I might put the bug on. Now, here, this panel here I'm going to be working on. So let's just get that down the bottom. I want it kind of, I'm going to have to kind of move that one over. Now, there's nothing more tricky really on transferring onto fabric, putting a transfer on fabric than wood. It's slightly more difficult. So what you need to do is you need to kind of, when I say it's difficult,
fabric.
What did I say?
Wood.
No, I said as opposed to wood.
Oh, sorry.
See, it's doing it.
Me interrupting again.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You're concentrating filming. What you have got in your favour when you're doing it on fabric is the fabric squishes in, which if you catch the halo edge and just kind of push it in, it goes on actually quite nicely. So there's nothing really you're not doing anything different. You've sealed your fabric, and just take your time, but they do come off really nice, and you can burnish them in at the end if there's any loose parts because you're putting on fabric. Now at the end of this, I will be sealing this again with my top coat sealer just to protect it. You don't go around washing lampshades, but in case anything gets spilled on it or dusty and you want to give it a wipe down. I'm just going to have a wee look and see how this is going, because I think really I'm going to have to kind of make sure I'm up around the self edge. It's okay this side. Yeah, just time. And that's the thing about this. If you want to make something nice, you just have to be prepared to put the time in. I think with this kind of thing, that using the corner as opposed to the... Oh, I don't know what fell there. I think we might have a problem on the other side, so I'm just going to do as much of this side as I can first. Believe it or not, it's always trickier to do transfers with small little flowers like this than it is the great big ones. For example, if you know IOD transfers and you think of like wallflower with its great big flowers, that's easy because you're starting at the halo and you've got a large surface area. But when you've got all these little delicate ins and outs, it's more difficult to do a finer transfer, and you just have to take your time. That's my only advice. And this is how it looks so far. And as I said, we'll burnish it down once we get there. I think we've got a problem up this top end, and I'm just going to try and work out what it is. I think it's with this blue one here that just needs a little bit more kind of scratching onto it. Alright, let's see how we're going. I think I'm going to lose this top flower, and I think I know why, because maybe my glaze wasn't quite dry on that one. So now once you've got it on, you just need to get your little bit of plastic from the top and just burnish it. Be quite gentle, because my lampshade has got texture, you know, that flowery texture on it, and you don't want to rub too hard on it, but you do want to make sure it's all see. And you're going to lose that one. Oh gosh, I'm doing it all over the place. So gently, gently, gently is the name of this game, and slowly. So I've got that one on, but we're running with the pink theme. So let's just put another pink one. Coming in from this side. Yeah, because I can fill that with something. What were you going to say, Amo?
I was going to say, yeah, there.
Yes, there. Good. Because I've got other little things, like I've got just the head of one of these that I could maybe fill. I'm not intending to use all of one of these sheets, because I mean there's quite a lot on it. Wouldn't be very cost effective. So as I said, scratchy scratchy with the corner. I should switch my phone off. I never used to have notifications, but it's a new phone and I'm not quite sure how to do it.
part of it.
So I had them switched off. And Daisy also, for a joke, put my typing thing as click, 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 and all you can hear when I'm typing is click, click, click. It drives me insane, but every time I ask her to put it off, she just giggles and won't do it. So that's what happens when you get old. They just make fun of you. Right. Can you see how this is going to start to look? I have this here because I want to have a bit of height. So I think I'm going to bring this one up, kind of try and fit it as if it's coming behind it. Let's see how this looks. You can never really tell until you take the backing off. Yeah, let's see if we can do something like this. I'm only going to do this one panel and then I'm going to go away and do the rest of the panels myself. It's just so you can see my positioning. I know that maybe this is boring or maybe you're enjoying it. I don't know. Maybe you're not enjoying it, Maren. No, it's like the slow boat to China.
They always tell you the same thing when you say, I'm sorry, this is boring, if this is boring. You get a flood of comments saying, it's not boring, we love it. So carry on.
I think the only thing I can see around the edges is maybe my glaze is a little bit damp because it doesn't want to perform the way I'd like it to. So I think just rubbing the fury out of it is maybe, and making sure that you get onto your halos because that's the bit that's going to make it stay put. Right. My lamps, it's slipping along. Slipping along the table, it's getting further and further away. Oh, I might have to do this one in 2 parts. Let's see if I can just get this one to go on. It's just tricky because it's a big one. I should have maybe cut it up, but you know me. If it doesn't work out right, we'll stick something on the top of it. I'm going to show you what to do with that one in a minute if it doesn't go on. Now, if this was wood, right, what I would do is I'd peel it back, I'd grab the very edge. Can you see what I've done? And I'd just apply it that way. Yeah, it just needs burnished in, but that's why I've done that on wood. If you feel it needs a little bit of Mod Podge behind it, you can also do that too. I quite like that wee lone leaf up there, but it is supposed to be connected on here. So let's see if we can deal with that. Oh, it's coming back off. I think what I'll try and do is I'll be, what's the word? A contortionist. Just trying to get the lid off my phone so I can. It's good to see all the little fixes because it happens to everybody, and it's one of those things that people would just get frustrated and give up. Well, I don't. Right, so I've put a little bit of Mod Podge behind that. I'm putting that back down just so it anchors it. And let's just do that on here as well. You shouldn't have to do this. Depends how it. Oh gosh, I'm making a mess of it now.
You say you shouldn't have to, but this is, you know.
Well, it's par for the course.
You're always gonna.
It's just because it's a lampshade and it's a little bit more tricky. But if you know the fixes, and I'm all about showing you the fixes, because if you know the fixes, then you can fix them. And you don't need to go, oh, I've ruined this transfer. This one was stuck on a minute ago. I don't know what's happened to it now. It's decided it's not sticking. It's just patience. I can't believe it. That one was stuck on before. Right. Right. Oh, I'm going to have to peel that one as well. Right. I think you have to call it. When it isn't working, you have to call it. And I'm just about to call it. And see if I can peel it and stick it. Right. Okay. So, let me just have a wee look at this. Now, you have to have kind of reasonably delicate hands. Which I actually don't have. So, you need knacky wee fingers. I don't know where this part's come from. Oh, gosh, I'm making a right mess with this. Let me see if I can start sticking this on, but I don't know where that piece came from right now. Right. Let me just try and get these attached. Lift that bit off. Attach that bit onto there. Let's just put it on. Oh. I'm determined I'm not stopping the camera because this happens to everybody, and I'm not willing to show you I give up. Right, that's the leaf part and no, Martin. Be please. It'd be better if I had set tweezers. I've never actually had it go this wrong before, but it's always good to have it on camera and you can laugh at me later. If this is the very first video you've watched of mine, I can only just apologise because normally...
Yeah, can I just add as well, even though it's all going wrong at the moment, wait till the end because she will fix it. It will look amazing at the end.
Well, hopefully.
You've got too much glue on your fingers.
I know. I think I have as well. Now on you go. Go on, wee fella. Just stick on there just now and I'll deal with you in a minute. I am going to go away and I'm going to pick all these individual parts off. Do you know what I think I'm going to do on this one? In fact, on the whole lot, I think I am going to get my Mod Podge and just apply it from here to here just so there's a little bit more stick on my surface. I think it normally works out fine, but I'm slightly dubious that the surface isn't sticky enough for it, and I'll have to take a piece out of somewhere else to fix this debacle. But I think maybe what I should do is put Mod Podge on it first, because I think that's the only way that it's going to have enough stick to stick on. I thought it would stick on fine with it. Yeah, repairs are needed there. Apart from that, it's not looking too bad. I mean, if it stays on. Right, okay, Mod Podge time. I'm going to go on and do that. Okay, I'm back to redeem myself. What I did was, I've not had to do this before, but I don't know, anomalies of life, I don't know. Maybe my top coat sealer wasn't, it just was kind of like not working. So what I've done is I've put some Mod Podge on it, only kind of like this far up all over it. And what I'm doing now is I'm just repairing the nightmare that I've just created. And that's okay, you can do that. I mean, just showing you what I'm doing to repair this. And you will see that it sticks, no problem. So there you go. If you've got a heavier sealer, then I don't think you'll have a problem. But my sealer, even though it's a tough top coat, is very light. That's why I like it on furniture, because I don't find it heavy. But I'm just trying to fix all these as I go, make them look pretty. If they're a bit wrinkly like that, we can get that when we burnish them out. It's just because it's going on a fabric and not onto a different surface. Oh gosh, I can't get the plastic off it. Starting to look slightly better. I think I'm fixing it now. I think I'll put one of these in here like that to make that look. Now, I always think that showing you the fix is better than pretending it didn't happen, and I'm sure, you know, it probably looks like that everything I do goes wrong, but I actually Mod Podged this as well so that I could come back and do this. Now, the next thing I think I'm going to do is to top it off up here is I need a branch or something, but I'm thinking I've got these little bits here, these little, let's do this one here. And do these two here. I mean, you can see how easy it is now. It's no problem. Put those there, and then I might have, can put my bird up here. Is he going to be seen? I'm not sure whether he's going to be seen there.
It needs to be on the end of something.
It does, yeah. Not on there. I'm going to bypass that just now because I don't want to. I'm not going to overthink that one. let me just get all these pieces and parts and we'll finish off this whole panel. I said there was another flower, so I think I'm going to put this here. And you just build up your little window, your little frame. I was going to do it all as a one hour and do like one moon and everything else. And then I thought, hang on a minute, I can build each panel up and make it look quite cute. And that's what I'm doing. Maybe up here would, I'll put the moth up here, not the bird. Let's just have a wee look-see. Right, I still need something to join from here to here, and that's the thing, because it got a little bit wrecked. I'm thinking I'm just going to steal this leaf off this strawberry plant and put it in behind there. Let me just kind of measure it out. Well, that wasn't what I wanted to do. It's just so these flowers here don't look like they're sitting in the middle of nowhere. Something for here. What we have, and maybe a bit of this. Here. Do you know, it's got quite late here in Scotland. I've just had my tea and everything, and I've still got a costume to make for a party for Daisy.
Tell them what she's going as.
She's going a strawberry shortcake. I've made the hat, but now she's our friends have kind of chimed in, and now they want things, and yeah, it's just never ending.
We were just discussing it at dinner, and I was saying, prepare yourself, because next year she's going to be at university, and there'll be plenty of things happening at university that she'll need a costume for.
No, you think you've done your part, and then you go, oh, no, it's never ending. Now I want to try and make this one.
In fairness, it is a rod you've made for your own back, because you've always, for all the kids, made them the most awesome costumes for things. So
I do like making costumes.
They come to you, you know.
They flock.
They flock.
I've still got a skirt to make tonight, and then I've got a t-shirt to order from Amazon that I need to put strawberry on. And she's wearing green and white stripy tights and her t-shirt and her strawberry shortcake cap that I made her. And she says she's not putting a pink wig on, she's just going to wear blonde hair because she said that it makes her itchy. So that was one less thing that I had to buy. Well, Dad had to buy. Now, I'm not going to mess around and put any oranges in this because it just doesn't go with the vibe. So I'm wondering if I could fit a little bit of this strawberry in here. I'm just trying to fill in the gaps. I'm wanting it to have a nice flow if I can. I can cut that now, and now I'm like, why did I do that? If I can't fit it in. I can see what I can do with it. Take it there and have it come in from up behind there. Artistic license. Right, I'm going to just quickly start off the next panel, and then you can see where I'm going with it. But it's pretty much all going to be, all the panels are going to be done like this. And then what I'm going to do is, once I've done each panel, we'll do all the kind of frippity bits. I'd tested my theory on here, so we've already got one on here. So let's just see what else we can add. I think these are...
Yeah, we thought we better test.
Marty said, do you not think you should? And I was like, possibly.
Before we start filming, make sure that worked.
I want this to come from, like it's coming from behind here. I kind of want high and low. It gives it a nice flow than them all being the same height. For me, that doesn't work. That's something to consider. You know, you don't want it all very contrived and in a straight line, and Some of them are kind of the same sorts of height, so you're going to have to kind of work it if you have this one. But any of the, doesn't have to be this one, it can be any of the IOD little booklets with transfers on it. They've brought some new ones out in the new release that would work just the same. I mean, it doesn't have to be this one. I bought this one at the last release, and as I said, I've been desperate to use it, but the thing is, it's just too small form for furniture. It would just get lost. By the time I got busy with it, you'd never see it. So you saw me adjusting that there to make it a little bit smaller, just so that it wasn't the same height as what was done here. I mean, this is so fast now. I've got the sealer on it, the Mod Podge. Thing is, I thought I was being really smart and getting ahead of the game, taking it outside to seal it with my top coat, but obviously it's just not quite sealy enough on fabric, obviously. I know this is a bit boring, and I'm getting to the point in a minute. Just because I don't want to miss stuff. This is cute. Now, I've got a little blue one here that I think I'd quite like to. I don't want to shorten it. I don't want to shorten too many things. Oh, this one will be nice here. Look, let's have this one. Keep any of these stalks that you're cutting off, because you might want to extend something later on, and I don't get rid of them. They're quite handy just to keep in your scrap drawer as well, in case you have to extend something later on. I mean, I keep all parts. You know. I think, what sort of animal or thing can we have on this one? I'll put a moth in the other one. I don't think I'm going to, I still don't think my bird can. Oh, Mary, what do you think? I think it's looking up at the...
A bit lower down, on the stalk, instead of on
no,
the flower.
but its little claws can be gripping onto there, because I would like it to kind of looking up.
Okay.
It doesn't look so nice there, whereas it's better.
Do it.
I want it looking up at the moon. There we go. There's frogs in this as well, this pack. So one of them can have a frog on it. There we go. That's that side done. So I'm going to get on, and I am going to deck out this whole shade, going sort of kind of thinking about my positioning and how it looks. And I'm going to put all these little flowers on it. I mean, you could have some come in. No, don't do it, Leo. Don't step away. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to just kind of deck this all out with the florals and set a little kind of scene around the lampshade. Then we're going to come back and we're going to put some stars on it. And I'm still debating whether it's going to have borders around each edge. I don't know if I want to stamp a border. I'm wondering whether I might be getting kind of bold and get a Posca and maybe just line it. Oh, I don't know. See, too many creative decisions. Right, so I'll get on and do this, and I will be back once I've done it. Right, I'm going to give you a quick twirl of how... Now, I said I was going to keep it specific to a panel and put borders on it, but I've decided that it looks better this way. It looked a little bit stilted, so I'm just keeping it this way. So let's just have a quick twirl around it so you can see what's happened to it. Any bits that you see there a little bit haven't been burnished in right, just do it. So this is where we're at. This is what we're doing, and this is where we've got to. Yeah. Now, what I'm going to do next is I've got a lamp here, a lamp base. I'm going to switch it on, and I'm going to stick it underneath my lampshade like so, and you will see, because I've already tested this. Can you see these tiny little holes? I'm going to show you. See? This, but now you're putting these on the darkest areas, not in the clouds, because you wouldn't see, like, see up here where the clouds are, you wouldn't see them.
No, because they'd be behind the
They'd
clouds.
be behind the clouds, so
That's
you need
right.
to...
And what are you using for that, love?
The lampshade.
To make the holes.
This, I'm just using a darning needle, like a thick needle. I would have preferred an even thicker one, but I couldn't at that point in time find one that would go through this. So, you know, so you don't need to, because we are going to put our own stars on it so that when it's not lit, it still has stars. But, you know, just that's what you're going to do to get the light in. There's a dark patch there. You don't want stars too far down. So on this one here, we would do here. Just will make it cute when it lights up. Up here, I think, because it's quite thick. Now, you're not seeing these ones as well right now because the light source isn't up the top. But if you want to move your light source, you will see them. See up the top there as well. And you can see them here where I've done them. Anywhere you put your light source, you'll see where you've gone. Like, can you see here? It's going to look really nice when it's done. I'm moving the light about, but it'll be one solid light when there's a bulb behind it. So, I think you understand the concept of the old holes in the shade. So let's go back to the one where it had holes in it. They're hard to see when it's not on, right? So this one. Okay, so now I've got some Annie Sloan's Old Ochre. Why am I not using stark white? Because there's no real stark white in the overall design. Let me get this open. I hope there's enough in here to do it. Do you know I have about 40 million Annie Sloan paint can openers?
Yeah, there are none to be found.
I never can find them. They're in my equipment toolbox up there, but... Now, stars. Not going to paint a star. I'm just going to do little dots of varying sizes. There now. I don't want to take it into the clouds again. I want it to be accurate. I'm using I think it's actually a number 2 liner rigger brush, but it's been so well used. I think it's more like a number 1 right now. It's quite thin. And if you just want a tiny star, just kind of lightly touch it. And if you want a heavier star, you know, do a bigger sort of, put more pressure on it. So I'm going to put all of my little stars and all of my little holes on my piece. And then we are going to come back. And I've decided I'm not going to put trim around the top. It's finished nicely enough. I had thought of things like this, but it's too busy, too much, and it's just going to waste it. I don't have something that I think is suitable for up the top, so I'm leaving it. Down the bottom, I'm using cream, kind of same colour as or near enough. This is maybe more beige. Oh, I don't like saying that word. But anyway, yeah, this is going to be the trim. Keeping it quite simple today. We're not making it bohemian. We're just making it quite
classy.
Well, can we say that about the things I produce? But
yeah,
I
love this. I really like this.
It's a cute one. It's a cute one. And I mean, you don't have to go.
I think you're starting a new trend, baby.
What is the trend?
Well, you know, you see these big old lampshades kicking around. I think
somebody else started this trend, man. I don't think
what you can do.
I don't think it was me that paid old lampshades.
No, but you know what I mean. Especially this sort of size.
I do think you can do
this sort of size because you can really do things with it. I
do think that you can do like it's not a trend, but I think you can do more with an old vintage lampshade than you see on places like Pinterest and things like that. I mean, yeah, you can recover them with fabric if you're any good with a needle, but you can also do it with a glue gun. I mean, you can cover them, you can paint them, you can decoupage them, cover them in my decoupage paper or napkins, cut out parts of wallpaper. They can even do withstand things like that. If you're new to my channel and you've never seen it, I have a video, and I'll get Martin to link it up here. It's called the Dopamine Lampshade, and I decorated a lampshade, and it has everything and the kitchen sink on it. It was a lampshade all about making yourself feel happy, and I just didn't care. I mean, it was predominantly to make me feel better. My dog had just died a couple of years ago, so it was to make me feel better and for no other reason than that. And I think sometimes create for yourself, create to give yourself joy. And customers are, I feel sometimes, to me, secondary for what I do. I mean, I need the customers to be able to live and make money, but I create for me first. There, that has finished that off delightfully, but I need to go off camera and I need to get my, wherever it may be, get my needle and carry on with my holes and get those all finished off. And then I've got my heat gun heating up. I'll show you me starting to put the trim on, and then it will be down to styling. I'm not going to put this on a standard lamp because I quite like it to be hanging. But the problem with the old vintage ones is you have to get converter kits for this area here that clip onto them. So we'll see what I can do for the sake of the video. I don't have a converter kit for something this big. I have them for slightly smaller ones, but not this size, I don't think. But you can see the inside's all nice and blue as well. I mean, the inside is finished as nice as the external edges. So, and so is the front. So I'll get on, make my holes, and be back in a tickle. So you've seen enough of my videos to know that you just fold your edge over with your trim. So that's what I'm doing, just folding that over. And I need to make my mind up. I think I'm going to kind of try and keep the top of it lined with here, or lined with here. Yeah, lined with here. You have no idea how many YouTube videos I do where I'm actually burning myself, but can't say anything about it on camera. Too many to mention. And yes, I do have those things that stop your fingers getting burnt. Which beggars the question, why do I not use them?
I think it's a kind of universal truth in it.
I don't like the feeling of. They feel really horrible, and then my fingers get sweaty, and then I feel like I don't like the feeling of them. So every time I try and put them on, I had them for a video that a course that I'm filming recently when I was doing a lampshade, and I just didn't enjoy it. Now, I think you more than understand. Look, there's a flaw in that. Well, not much I can do about it. I don't think I could shuffle them along a bit. Where's my needle? Shuffle it along. Make it look less bald. Not much I can do about that, I don't think. Kind of better than it was. Do you notice it, Mary? I think you do. I may have to look in my craft stash and see if there's some kind of...
That's rubbish, isn't it?
I know, it is rubbish. because it's quite noticeable. I'll have a look in my craft stash and see if I can. I just don't want to take this back off and ruin what's on it. So I'll see if there's some sort of bejeweled item that I can find. I'm sure I'll be able to find something. How about some rooster feathers? They always work well in the lampshade videos. Oh, the rooster feathers. I'll never ever live it down. I'll never forget it.
We don't talk about the lampshade, do we?
No, no.
We don't talk about the coat.
Well, for those that aren't a channel member, a private channel member, they don't know about the coat. So I just don't talk about the coat full stop. The rooster. Oh, look at this. Do you know, this trim wasn't cheap. And I think they might be getting a bad review from me, although I can never be bothered to leave reviews. I see I'm going, I do it all the time with my audiobooks. I get to the end of a really good book and then I go, I should leave a review about that. And then I go, I will, but not right now. And then I never do. And then about 3 months later, I'm buying the same book because I forgot I'd read it before.
Yeah, that's true.
It's okay though, because sometimes there's a kind of fail-safe thing on Audible that says, you've read this before. I go, no, I haven't. What would you know, computer? Sorry, we had to break a wee bit in filming there. So, yeah, so then the computer, Audible, tells me I've read it before, and I go, no, I have not. And then I get it, and then I go, do you know I've read this? It doesn't happen very often, but my library is so full of all the different Goblin War books that they all can sometimes feel a little bit. Look, there's another bit that's not very nice either. It's not as bad as the other part, but I'm just trying to work out. I don't really like this trim. It's not very good. I don't need that part. It's so I can get my folded in edge. This is the worst part for your burny fingers because it goes through the gaps in the trim. So kind of just do the process I do, which is ow, 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 ow. Right. I just need to bring this forward a little bit and give myself a little bit more leeway. I'm really disappointed in this trim. Look at this.
It is what it is.
I'm trying to think if I've got something now that I could put over the top of that band, you know, like a double trim that I quite often do with lampshades, but I don't think I've got anything that is this dark and this appropriate for what I'm doing. Let's put a little bit of glue up in here.
You got any like dark velvet or something like that?
I will have a look. Now, let's have a wee look.
It's all right.
I think the trim makes it, but I'm disappointed in those gaps. I'm going to go and see if I can camouflage this or find something to go over the top of it, or just even something for that really big gappy part. I'm sure you'll see what I do in the reveal, so because the next time you see this lovely beauty, it's going to be in the reveal, okay? Okay, so I had to wait a day and a bit because I really didn't like this. I just didn't like it, and I don't even think that's the worst one. There's another piece in it in the shade, and this is so nice and tidy. And then there's this. So I went to all my trims, but my trims tend to be quite bohemian. Not really what I was looking for. So I have bought this dark navy blue velvet trim. So when I put this over here, hopefully it'll take your eye away from that awful part. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to put it on the downstairs one, so that's between here and here. So let's just, I really want to start where the join is for the fringe. It just makes it nicer. Just past that, so I'm going to start here. I can't remember this trim being particularly cheap or I don't know why it's got so many faults in it. I've never had that before, but you know, sometimes the double trim, you know, the tassels and the ribbon make it look even more expensive. So who's going to argue with that? And I'm going to have plenty left over in case I have a project like this in the future that needs dark navy. So this is going to finish it off quite nicely. So I just wanted to come back and show you that I had fixed my dilemma because I just didn't like it. So now you've seen me do this many times, but I'm just going to go tidily around my shade. Then I'm going to get my heat tool and quickly blow down the bottom with the heat to melt the little glue gun strands that might be hanging about. Then Martin and I are going to hang it. Then we'll finish up the end of the video, but that's been today's video. So I'll get on and do this now. Okay, so what did we do? We initially put on our shades of green down the bottom, dark blues up the top, and then it was semi-dry when I went to do the next stage. It had been sitting outside, which I used to my advantage to get it quite dry. And I then came back and I put some darker shades. I put some black and things on it. And then what did I do? I glued on my moons, and then I sort of created a glaze with Liquitex so that I could have this sort of ethereal look round the moons. Then I put the transfers on. Now remember what I did. Even though I'd sealed the lampshade, my sealer wasn't giving it enough tooth. So I then came in and I put Mod Podge on it and it came off no problem. So a wee bit of a lesson learned. Never had that happen before, but yeah, you don't know. So then what did I do? I painted some little stars and then got a thick darning needle and made the holes so that when it's lit up at night, you can see through all the little holes. I then added some, which I thought was really nice quality cream trim, but you saw it had flaws in it. So I then ordered some of this dark blue velvet, and I actually think it's really nice with the velvet. So it's a win-win. Do I like it? Yeah, I really like it. It's quite classy for me. It's quite whimsical as well, without having those sort of whimsical, almost folk arty flowers. I wasn't wanting that, and that's how I knew I could use the transfer to my advantage. All you need for this is an old vintage shade. You don't even need an old vintage shade. You could use a new shade. Just follow exactly the same steps and you can end up with something like this. At the very end, I sealed it again. Heat tool to get rid of your glue gun strands. And that's it. That's it for today. Martin, any thoughts?
I really like this. I know I say it every week, but I really do. And I mean, we've hung it here so that you can talk about it, but this on a nice big chunky base.
I do have a chunky base over there, but I just didn't have time to do it. Sorry, interrupt, Matty.
That's right.
That might work with it.
I think it would look lush.
Mm-hmm. Not sure if I'm keeping our sale on yet. Anyway, we have been made by Marley. We'll see you again next Sunday. Next Sunday, we will actually be away in Germany, but so you'll be seeing the piece that I create for Germany when I'm at Germany. Go figure. So if you've liked this video, give us a like, give us a share, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a comment, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.